You know, one thing you can say about the business that I'm in, it's rarely boring. I run into different situations every day. There's a fun one. I've got this pistache, Chinese pistache, Pistachia chinensis, and it's split all the way down to here. And nope, down to here, almost to the ground. And the client says, "Is there any way we can save this tree?" I said, "Well, we can certainly start by tying it together," which is what I'm going to do. He went to buy some rope, and I'm sitting there waiting for him. And in all honesty, I'm looking at this thinking, why don't they just start over and put in a good tree? But, you know, he said, "Can we save it?" And I, well, sure, you can certainly save it. It would be permanently held together with cables up high and probably some threaded rod all the way through and cinched up tight. But you know, the point of this little bit of a video right here is to explain what happened. Now, this was a crotch inclusion where this side and this side grew into each other, and as this side and this side both expanded, they forced a small split right here. And you see all the discoloration and the rooting that's going on in here. This has been split and opened for a long time, but nobody paid attention to it. Nobody saw that. And the water got down in here and it caused a weakness. And now the tree is getting a little bit wider. You know, it's got a lot of healthy foliage. I don't know if the wind stepped it off or what, but it started, and it just started opening up. And as I'm watching it, it's probably moving right now. So I'm standing aside of this split right now, and I put my ladder up there if I'm going to get a rope and try to contain this. If for no other reason, the containment will keep it from falling on a car and blocking the road until we can get around to doing whatever procedure they decide to do. But I think he wants to try to save it. And I think we could probably, you know, buy some time for this tree and keep it from falling apart. You know, the wind is picking up. I just saw it move a little bit, opens and closes. So it might go at any second. That'd be kind of fun. Let's see if we can get it on video. I'll just stay here and wait for this tree to fall apart, and we'll have a real exciting piece of video footage here. Unless he gets back in time with the rope and I can save it. So it's kind of tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. It's funny, you probably can't see it on video, but I can feel it. The wind is picking up here and I can feel it's opening and closing just a little tiny bit, but I can see it happening. I don't know whether this side's going to go first or this side's going to go. That's kind of an interesting split pattern right there. Chinese pistache. You know, it's over a parking area, but it's at a spot in the road. You know, it really wouldn't block traffic. It's not going to hit a house. It's not going to hit anything of any value. More than likely, it's not going to cause any damage if and when it goes. So. We'll just sit here and wait. Now there's an overall view of the tree. You can see the wind is starting to move a little bit. It's a very, very slight wind. If the wind was even just a little bit stronger, it might go down. It's kind of interesting to see the separation in the center of this. So if I am to pull this back together, you know, we got to start with a good rope up on the top, and what I can do is I can wrap a rope all the way around a whole bunch of them and then put a big 2x4 in between the rope and twist it. They call that a Spanish windlass, and I've used it many, many times, and it will give you a lot of power. It's an incredible tool that you can use to pull things back together. It's a lot simpler to use than a come along. The one big disadvantage of it is as you're twisting and twisting and twisting, it builds up an awful lot of pressure, and at some point you have to tie off that 2x4 to something so it doesn't go da 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 and come undone. But It's a good emergency trick that I've done many times over the years. So unless I got a 2x4, I can't do it. But today I think all I want to do is just pull it together as tight as I can. I'll probably put a loop on it and, you know, maybe a trucker's hitch or something, and pull it up as tight as I possibly can, and then secure it. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to take a little trip to the library. Let's see if there's anything in here that I haven't read. I haven't read much of anything. Oh, the Odyssey. I read the Odyssey. Homer's The Odyssey. Let's see. The Lady Elizabeth. The Women in the Castle. The Heart in the Garden. Secret of Lost Things. Wind just picked up a little bit. Let's see what other books are in here. Oh my gosh, how appropriate is that? The Lorax. Some kids call me the Lorax. I think I better take this and read this to my grandchildren. Mystery said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. I guess I am the Lorax to a degree, because I speak for the trees. You know, it's really easy to look at a tree like that and say, oh, it's too far gone, just get rid of it, let's just start over. And, you know, if it was on a single property with lots of other trees and the decision wasn't so critical, you know, hey, I might agree with you. But in this case, you know, this isn't a townhouse association out in Mountain View, and believe it or not, are all in excess of $1 million each. Every driveway you see here, that's, you know, let's check this out. You know, just, you know, this is the tree that everybody looks at. You know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, $15 million worth of homes look upon this tree every day. All these people go to work all day long, they come home and they have a little bit of nature. They do have a little park back there, you know, and they do have other trees. But you know what, this tree means something to people. You know, this guy over here came over and he was really distraught to see this. He looked at this and he let out a great big sigh, and he said, you got to cut it down, huh? I said, no, we're gonna try and save it. And he was so relieved. He was so relieved. Now, if this guy doesn't show up with the rope pretty soon and it falls apart, I may not have the opportunity to try to save this piece of tree. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Okay, I'm killing time here, so let's go take a look at another pistache and look at the branch formation on this one and the unions. This may be a little tight right here, and that might lead to a future problem. Not so much there. You know, all in all, this is a much better branch configuration than the one that split. Because remember, the one that split had a big tight Y, and each of the sides of the Y were growing into each other. We got a little bit of that going on here, but there's not a lot of weight up there yet. In time, sometime in the future, that may also lead to a problem. But what do? Do you anticipate the future and say, well, okay, let's do something now to support it? Or do you just pay attention and make sure that it doesn't get too heavy? I kind of say, let's read the trees. Look what might happen in the future. Make educated decisions. How much weight needs to come off of it for the future? How big of a problem is it? These are all questions that every arborist needs to ask themselves when they're making decisions about trees. Okay, I'm up in the tree here waiting for the rope to show up. So I've got a little bit of time to kill. So we can put a rope around this branch, and this branch, over to this branch, and this branch. And I'm going to put a loop around this section of the tree. And if you look down, I'm on the ladder here. I didn't really want to climb the tree. If you look down, you've got a different perspective on this whole situation, which is actually kind of cool. So the wind is starting to pick up just a little bit here. Doesn't take much for me to move it to see the movement down there. Probably the same on this side. I don't want to push too much, but oh jeez, that's the weak side. Hardly anything at all, and that's going to go. Oh, I just heard a crack. That wasn't smart. Ironically, I feel so much safer on this ladder than I would up in the tree. And we just had a slight gust of wind. I'm up here wondering where that rope is. This was an emergency call, so I didn't have time to go get anything. I just showed up and he said, I'll go get one. So I'm sitting here waiting. I'm wondering what this homeowner is going to show up with and how strong it's going to be. I should have just said, nah, let me go get it, but I wouldn't have time to do this video. So I did a temporary tie-in using my climbing line, which I want to replace, but by getting that pulled up, I put it through a loop and cinched it up as tight as I could. It was amazing just pulling on it. The right-hand side moved considerably more than the left-hand side, so if there's going to be a failure, it's going to be the right side of this. So getting back to that Spanish windlass, see how I've put a loop around the rope? I'm not going to use my climbing rope for it, but if I had another strong rope, comparable, it could be an old climbing line or a lowering line. And what you do is you take this loop and you put a 2x4 all the way through, and one side's a lot longer than the other, but you have to have room for it to spin. And once it pulls it up tight, you start rotating, and that you could pull this thing back together considerably. And if the 2x4 is long enough, you could actually tie it to this up here once you get it pulled up real tight. Then you could put in whatever kind of hardware you want down at the bottom, you know, whether it be a cable, a pie. Maybe it's going to be both a cable and a through bolt at the bottom. Not a lot to cable to. When you have, you know, multiple tops here, they become very complicated cable structures. So there's my temporary hold it till I fix it approach by putting some ropes up there. Hopefully that will keep this from falling apart. I said no guarantees. Really crummy quality rope. I never recommend this kind of rope, but this is what he brought back for me. And unfortunately I didn't have anything else to use today. So the story will continue. Thanks for watching.